What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F123, my team career mode for Season 1, round number 4, the Monaco Grand Prix. So Monaco, first time here, we're looking for a good race because we haven't had great races at Monaco in the past games. Now, before we get into this one, I actually changed my helmet for this race and beyond just because I wasn't really a big fan of my last helmet, and yeah, still not the biggest fan of this one, but for starting the game, it's still a fairly basic helmet, but it's a little bit more interesting. We've got the orange and the green on there, not just the orange, so yeah, it just makes it look a bit nicer, I think. All activities went through this time because we had all the time in the world. Put some upgrades on the car. I think I just stuck a durability upgrade on there. We're also gonna stick, I think, maybe a chassis upgrade, yep, because we've got this one a little bit discounted, so we're gonna put that on the car as well. And then we're also going to stick a DRS aerodynamic upgrade on as well. And all these should come through for the next race, and I believe they do. We, I believe, change turbo. We go to number 2 turbo because our turbo is getting rather worn out, but other than that, we're all looking pretty good. And then with R&D, we're still sitting the 4th fastest at the moment, just there with Aston Martin. I'm hoping that we will kind of plateau out a bit now because yeah, we seem to be gaining R&D a bit too quickly, so I'm hoping that with changing the, you know, the kind of the driver settings will make that a little bit more normal with the other teams on the grid. And also McLaren and Haas actually moving their way slightly higher up the grid. So we get into Q1 here now. This one was interesting because qualifying was going to be completely dry, but then the race was going to be wet throughout. This seems to always happen with Monaco. I'm pretty sure the 3 times we went to Monaco in F1 22, all 3 times, I think 2 times we had rain in the race, and 1 time we just had rain in qualifying. We always seem to get rain in Monaco, and we haven't had rain in F1 23 yet. So this could be the first game where we have rain. At the end of Q1, we end up finishing P7, so it's pretty good. That was actually like my first flying lap. We didn't quite get a good lap in Q2. Iwasa P19, he's just nowhere. Our car is the 4th quickest. He should be at least getting into Q2, so just shows how badly he's doing. Honestly, I'm almost thinking we're going to have to switch him out mid-season at this point. And then we get into Q2 here, and I've had a great Sector 1. Purple through Sector 1 here, and we're looking good for Sector 2 here as well. 4/10 up, just dipped under that 4/10 now, but we absolutely throw it through this next swimming pool section. It's purple through the 2nd sector as well. We are showing some amazing pace here, which I'm really surprised about. It seems to be on this game where some tracks, well, I don't even think it's some tracks, you're just AIs are worse than others, and you know, drivers better than others, but we end up P3 behind the 2 Mercedes, so the Red Bulls not having the best time. Verstappen's all the way down in P7 there. Both Alpines get through to Q3, both McLarens out of Q2 with Lando Norris actually all the way down in P15, Piastri P11, so Piastri has out-qualified his teammate for the first time this season. But yeah, certain tracks, I don't know, the AI seem worse at, the driver seems better at. It also just seems to be the case that in this game, and I've said it before, the AIs do seem to have off race days more often than they did in the previous games. So, you know, you will get, like just then, the Red Bulls in, I think it was like 4th and 7th for Verstappen. Considering where Red Bull are, they're not miles away on R&D now. Ferrari are fairly close to them, and then it's not a big gap back to Mercedes, my team, and Aston Martin. But yeah, it is interesting that that can happen. Q3 here, and we're actually almost a 10th down as we head into the chicane, but I get a better run through the chicane this time, and I'm just going to try and throw it around here. So this is not going to be the best lap in the world because my Sector 1 was less than a 10th better, and I'm still losing a bit of time actually through this final sector here. Almost, we're pretty much bang on with our time. It's flicking from green to red. Get it better around the final corner though, and we actually gain almost 2/10 just in the final corner. We're only going to be about a 10th and a half up on our best time, but it's good enough for P8, which is about what I expect. So we've been beaten by Alonso. We could perhaps beat him because we are ahead of Aston Martin on R&D, but I don't mind that. I think P8 that's fair. That's about where we are, ahead of the 2 Alpines. So yeah, it's actually George Russell on pole position for Mercedes. So 4 different drivers have taken pole in these first 4 races. Let's get into the Monaco Grand Prix.
Formula One F1 returns to Monte Carlo once again today, home to the world-famous Monte Carlo Casino that first opened in 1863. And of course, a certain road race first held in 1929. There's no greater an occasion, no more valuable a win than the Monaco Grand Prix. We already see the lowest average speeds of the season here at the Circuit de Monaco, and they'll be even lower in the difficult conditions today. 19 corners make up this famous 2-mile track, and with the rain, it'll be even harder than usual to get the critical heat into the tyres. So don't be surprised if we see a safety car at some point during today's Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And a very happy Carlos Sainz will start second. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Davies, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Bottas, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Magnussen, Norris, Joe, Stroll, Tsunoda, Iwasa, Albon, Gasly, De Vries, Gasly. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Not one of the easiest days to go racing. It's damp, it's slippery, there's dark clouds as far as the eye can see. The rain is here then, and that's going to take away a lot of the grip. Anthony Davidson, that's going to make turn one very interesting indeed.
Yeah, it's these kind of conditions where you can go in with one of two mindsets. You either see it as an opportunity, or you're worried that all of your hard work's about to be undone. We've been stuck in these conditions now for a few hours, more or less this kind of intensity, so we don't seem to have too much standing water, so we're not likely to be starting behind a safety car. And like you say, Crofty, the charge down into turn one will be quite interesting. I think we're in for a cracking Grand Prix.
Alright, so it is very wet in Monaco. Full wet tyres for our first wet race in F1 23. It's 5 red lights out and away we go. It's a decent start for us. Alonso actually doesn't get the best start, and we're going to have a look at him as we head into turn one. Very tight at Monaco. You've got to make the moves early on. We managed to just about keep two wheels on the grey stuff, and I think we've gotten ahead of Alonso through turn one, and as we head up the hill, it's Max Verstappen, the car in front of us, so he's in P5. He has not had a good qualifying. He's been beaten by his teammate. Another thing to note, Charles Leclerc, who I think qualified P2, he's taken a grid penalty and is starting like P11, so the home hero, his Monaco misfortune continues in F1 23. As we head through, we had a little bit of a wide moment as we head into one of those corners there, and Alonso had a look, but he's not quite able to make anything stick. Looks like Russell's held the lead from the start from Sainz and Hamilton in third place. Then you've got the two Red Bulls of Perez and Verstappen, then myself, Alonso, and then we've got an Alpine behind us. I'm not sure which Alpine. Oh, it would be Ocon, because Gasly also took a grid penalty and is starting, I believe, P20. So this first lap for us, not been the best. We've lost a little bit of time to Verstappen, just trying to warm these wet tyres up and just generally get used to driving in the wet, because this is my first experience of driving in the wet in F1 23, and of course it's at Monaco. This literally happened in F1 22 as well. Season 1 of F1 22, our first ever wet race was at Monaco, and it's happened again in F1 23. Just seems to be a thing with this race, but let's hope that this rain will spice the race up a bit, because in the past Monaco has not been the most exciting race. But yeah, lap number 1, we've managed to jump Alonso at the start. Now, actually looking on board from Logan Sargent at the back of the grid here, he got a decent enough initial start, but then there's a lot of cars on the inside there, all just piled up behind each other, and Sargent's actually trying to go around the outside of, he's gone past about 3 cars, he's now around the outside of my teammate Ayumu Iwasa, and it looks like he's just about got that move done. So a very good start for Logan Sargent from the back of the grid as 2 cars fight ahead of him, but they slot into place. So that's a good start from the American in his first Monaco Grand Prix. George Russell, like I said, leads the way from Carlos Sainz in second. Russell doing a good job at the moment. He's going for, of course, his second win in Formula 1, but it would be Mercedes first. So, yeah, like I said, this is our 4th different driver on pole. We had, I believe, we had Perez on pole in Bahrain, then it was Verstappen, then it was Leclerc, now it's Russell. And of course, Verstappen won the first 2 races, Leclerc won last time in Baku, so can Russell make it a 3rd driver to win this season, and the 3rd constructor as well, giving Mercedes their first win of the season? Can he do it before Hamilton, just like he did in F1 in 2022? So we're just continuing here behind Verstappen, and we've actually pulled a little bit of a gap to Alonso. So I don't know what's wrong with Alonso, but he doesn't quite have the pace here. And or maybe it's just that we have more pace than I expect we would. Maybe it's the wet weather, you know, equalizing everyone. We did not go for a wet setup, but yeah, we're really sticking behind the 2 Red Bulls and everybody else. We're all very close to the top 6. Now, Valtteri Bottas is currently sitting in P10 in the Alfa Romeo. He's got Charles Leclerc behind him. And yeah, this is a good place to be for Bottas and Alfa Romeo. They've not scored any points yet, so would love to score a point or 2 here today. So yeah, he's currently trying to keep the Monegasque home driver behind. It's very difficult to overtake here in Monaco, so yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Leclerc can do. But at the moment, Bottas sitting in that final points position. We continue on and lost a little bit of time to the cars ahead in the last few laps, but I'm just kind of putting the laps in here, and you know, Alonso's kind of caught up a little bit. We've lost a little bit of time to Verstappen. It looks like on the minimap there, Russell and Sainz are starting to get away from Hamilton a little bit, but it's still very close here, really all the way back to Alonso. Then there's a bit more of a gap back to Ocon, as we now go on to, well, finish lap number 19, and we're into the pits with Max Verstappen. We're going to go on to another set of wet tyres, because the rain is just going to be constant the whole race. Not really a chance of going on to intermediates here. I don't think it's really going to calm up at all. It's a good pit stop from the team. We're still behind Verstappen though, so haven't really made any positions here. As we come out, there is a Haas behind us, but we are just about going to manage to get out in front of him. And yeah, it's all pretty much as it was here. Charles Leclerc also coming in for a set of hard compound tyres, trying to get the move done on Valtteri Bottas, and he's done it in the pits. He's jumped Bottas in the pits, so that's going to be good for Charles Leclerc. So now he'll be in an effective P10, and maybe he can even gain some more positions, as now we're right up behind Verstappen and Hamilton, who've been massively caught up behind Oscar Piastri, slower car who hadn't come into the pits yet. So now it opens things up, and it's all very close here. I'm actually having a little look on Verstappen, because he's really caught up with Hamilton. We're having a look at the inside, but can't quite do anything. Verstappen just puts his car in the perfect place. We actually bang the wall a little bit as we head up the hill, and we are right behind Verstappen here, but there's just nowhere to go on this track up the hill, and we just have to stay behind him for now. Now Sergio Perez, he comes out of the pits, and with Hamilton getting caught up behind Piastri, Perez has jumped Lewis Hamilton and is now in an effective P3. So Red Bull at least looking like they're going to go for a podium here, but that's not good for Hamilton because he's dropped out of podium contention. Now we have a look at, I believe Oscar Piastri actually, as he comes out of the pits right alongside his teammate Lando Norris, but Norris looks like he's got the undercut done on his teammate. Of course, Norris was behind Piastri by quite a few places at the start of this race, but yeah, he has now gotten past his teammates. They're both, I think, they're running outside the points, or at least right on the fringes. We continue on, and we've got actually a pretty decent gap behind us to Alonso now. The gap between us and Alonso it's fairly steady, but we are slowly pulling away. Carlos Sainz is actually now closer than he's ever been to George Russell, who still leads this race. But yeah, Russell looked for a little bit at the end of that first stint that he was pulling away from Sainz and the rest of the cars. But after the pit stop phase, Sainz has actually caught up to Russell and is now right on his tail, and it's a bit of a bigger gap back to now Perez in third place, which I think, you don't even see him coming through the hairpin there because he's quite a way back. Lap number 26 onto 27, we get a really good run out of the final corner. We're going to have a look to the outside of Verstappen as we head into turn 1. Can't quite do anything, very nearly going to the back of him as we head up the hill. It's very close. We are really quick up here, but we just can't quite put our car anywhere but we're going to try and stay as close to him as we can because he's lost quite a bit of time to Hamilton up ahead now actually, and if we get a good run out of this corner we may look, and we're going to have a little look up the inside into this corner. We actually bang wheels with Verstappen, but in the end nothing can happen there. He just defends a bit too well. I committed but I didn't really fully commit, and yeah, that might be our one and only chance gone for overtaking Max. As Valtteri Bottas still currently sat in that, I think he's still in P10 actually. Of course Leclerc got past, but I think Bottas has overtaken a few other cars, so he's still in that P10 position. He's got Lando Norris, the car behind, so that confirms to me that Norris is not quite in the points yet. But yeah, Bottas still sitting in P10, wants to get the first points for Alfa Romeo. But at the front, it is George Russell. A couple of laps to go here, but I will just say now, Russell will go on to win this race. First win for him this season, first win for Mercedes. These last couple of laps, he actually did start to pull a bit more of a gap to Sainz behind. As you can see, that gap is growing a little bit, and Perez actually catching up to these guys as well, but won't have enough time to do anything. So a great drive from Russell and Mercedes. Sainz comes home second, and we still in this battle with Verstappen here for P5. There's quite a big gap now to Hamilton in front, but yeah, these last couple of laps Verstappen kind of went for it a bit more. I was starting to struggle a little bit on these tyres. You can see in the bottom right there, the kind of orange symbol for the tyres. Running out of a bit of tyre wear, couldn't quite put the move on, but you know what? I'm going to be happy with the P6 here. It's a really good position. The fact that we are so close to these top guys. I mean, Verstappen, I don't think he is leading the championship at the moment. I think Leclerc might have taken that over last time at Baku when he got the DNF, but to be this close to these guys is really, really good. It's going to be P6 for us in Monaco. Once again, it's not the most exciting Monaco Grand Prix. No safety cars or anything, which is really disappointing. We need a safety car or a red flag in this game. We haven't had one yet, but it's P6 for us. A great finish. Charles Leclerc gets driver of the day for getting into the points from P11.
It's the one that everyone wants to win, and they've only gone and done it. What a fantastic result here at Monaco. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
Well, they clearly have a car that comes alive in the kind of conditions we were dealing with today. It's a very balanced package in the wet, and what that means is that the drivers have confidence to attack, and having that confidence gets you on the power earlier, it lets you brake later, and can put you a long way up the road.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
A great win from George Russell to take his first win in Monaco, his first Monaco Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz is on the podium for, I believe, the first time this season, and Sergio Perez just about manages to get the Red Bull on the podium as well with that overtake on Hamilton in the pit stops. But yeah, not the most exciting Monaco Grand Prix once again. I was really hoping for a safety car or something here, but unfortunately we haven't had a safety car, we haven't had a red flag yet on this game. We've barely even had a yellow flag, to be honest. So a little bit disappointing. I'm hoping for a bit more excitement, because at the moment it's not looking too exciting in this game. Bottas manages to get that P10, Leclerc gets P9, so that's pretty good from him, working his way from P11 at his home Grand Prix. He at least scores some points. In the Drivers' Championship though, and George Russell now leads the championship from Max Verstappen in second and Charles Leclerc in third, but those three within 10 points of each other, or maybe even less. I can't quite see the number there, but yeah, really close to the top of the championship here. Max Verstappen not running away with this one thanks to that DNF last time out. We're sitting in P8, and there's 4 drivers on 1 point. So we have had 4 different drivers finish P10, all 4 from different teams: Bottas, Albon, Gasly, and Iwasa, my teammate. So yeah, really cool to see that little fight at the back of the grid as well. And Red Bull overtake Ferrari for first in the Constructors' Championship. Then you've got Mercedes third, Aston Martin, TGL Motorsport, Alpine, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo now on 1 point behind. Well, no, sorry, just ahead of Williams, also on 1 point. AlphaTauri and Haas, the only 2 teams not to score any points yet. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.